Hey IS300 fans, this video is a tutorial on how to install head units that look like this into an '01 to '05 IS300. So there are lots of different brands and versions of this unit that all look like this. Mine in particular is a Rode iVox brand, and I got the highest end version that has the 8-core processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 128 gigabytes of storage. It was about $320. So that was the unit that I'll be showing for this install. I believe the install would be very similar for any other units like this from AliExpress or Seicane. Before we get started, please note that you will need to remove this circuit board from your old climate control unit in order for this head unit to work, as it does replace the climate control in addition to the radio head unit. Alright, so I'm just gonna try to quickly show you guys how to remove your old head unit and to install the new one. So with this head unit, it actually does come with this trim tool here, trim removal tool, or you could pick up, they have sets of these at Harbor Freight or on Amazon for pennies. Well, literally maybe like $5 or $10. But so if you have this design of the top panel here, you're gonna have this little felt panel, and you're gonna want to shove this guy. I usually put it right in the center and then just slide it to the left. It'll pop that side up, you can see, and then slide it to the right. There you go. And this guy will just pull up and pop right out. From there, you really just got 2 screws in here. You could see on the top. Okay. Twist these guys out. Let's try to do my best not to drop it. Okay, there's one. We'll go for the other one. Okay, so now that you got those 2 screws out, you're just gonna kind of grab the unit here, grab the grab the top vent piece here, and just sort of pull towards you and up, and it's just gonna pop out. All right. And so next thing you're gonna want to do is just sort of reach underneath here like this with both hands, pull that out. So you can disconnect all these, get yourself more room in here, pull that out, just push the tab down and then pull towards the front of the car. Alright, get those out, put that aside. And so all that really holds either the new unit in, and also the only thing that holds the stock head unit and the climate control together, both of those in, are the 2 screws here and there, and the 2 there and there, or bolts rather, not screws. So all you're really gonna need for this is a 10mm socket. Use a decently long extension, electric ratchet if you have one, makes it a little easier. All right, be sure to lose these bolts. All right, go for this one. Okay. We'll swing right down here. And so if this isn't comprehensive enough, honestly, you could just check out any other IS300 radio install video. It's all the same thing. It's pretty easy. I imagine most of you guys probably know how to do this. But yeah, from there, the unit should just be able to pop right out. All right, so neglected to mention, when you're pulling your old radio out, you could see, you know, same bolt holes like we did before on the new one. You're just going to have to remove the two climate control plugs that are usually there. Those are just, you know, press down, pull out for both of those. And there will be these two ports here. I'm pretty sure you're only going to have one plugged in, at least for the US model. And you're also going to have, I believe there's two antennas or something plugged in there. Got to pull both those out. And then the radio and climate control should be able to just pop right out. So this radio doesn't really come with any real instructions. This is the closest thing that I got to real instructions. It basically just tells you to make sure the power is not on so you don't fry it, and just hook stuff up. And it says basically just ask a professional if you need help. So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily count on them being a great resource to help you out. Honestly, everything sort of just, everything only goes in one place, so it's kind of hard to mess it up. Just make sure that the what you're plugging in is going into the place that has the same number of pins, and you should be fine. And so once you have this out, you're gonna have this bracket on both sides that holds the two together, and little plastic tabs here. So you could take out the two screws there, and then the other two on the other side, there and there. I also just sort of started popping out some of the screws on the radio. Don't really know if that's actually necessary, but so once you get those screws out, you should be able to sort of just pull this bracket back a little bit. Sort of pull it back enough, or you could just fully remove it if you want. Basically what you're aiming to do is pull it back enough that you free it from these tabs here. I'm not sure I'll be able to do this with one hand. Oh, actually, there we go. Okay. So there you go. Your climate control is separated from your radio. So you can take this and sell it or do whatever you want with it. Keep it as a backup, I guess. And so this is honestly probably the hardest part of the entire install. So you're gonna have to get at the board that has the two plugs right here inside your climate control unit. So the most difficult thing you're going to have to do for this whole job, honestly, is there are two tiny little screws on both sides. Both sides of the unit. And let's see, let me grab those. You could see They are those there. Very small head. So I ended up using just a small bit from just a cheap little precision screwdriver set like this. That one right there. And you got to press down really hard so you don't strip the screw out. These are decently durable, I'd say. I didn't end up stripping these even after fussing with them for a long time. And I've taken this apart previously before to swap LEDs into the controls. Yeah, so you're going to need to press down on that screwdriver and try to twist it as best you can. If it's really tight, you might have to grab some vice grips to clamp on the screwdriver to turn it while you're pushing down to get the screws out. Really just kind of a difficult process there. But yeah, so once you get the screws out, all you have is just some plastic tabs, 4 tabs, 1 on each side, or sorry, 2 on each side. You're just going to try to pull up on the tab and pry up on the tab and then try to pull this back piece off. I don't really know if it's going to be possible to do this with one hand right now, but yeah, I'll just do that and I'll be right back. Alright, so once you get the 2 halves apart, you're going to notice that they're both connected, stuck pretty close together by this ribbon cable here. So all you're really going to want to do is just on one side or the other, you're just going to want to pull up on this little gray piece here, little lock that holds the ribbon cable in place, and it'll just pull right out, one side or the other. And you can set that aside. You won't need the ribbon cable because there is a new longer one that comes with the kit. So then you're going to be stuck with your board inside here, the board with the connectors on the back, the one you need. And you just got this little plastic piece that's locking you in here. So all you really need to do to get this locking piece out is kind of a two-handed job. You're going to need to take just one hand, kind of grab it like that, and take your other hand and hold it here. And basically you're just going to pull apart, and that will separate these 2 tabs from the outer casing. The outer casing will just kind of flex, and the lock will just come out pretty easily, honestly. I don't really think I can... let's see. There we go. Just sort of pull up, pops right out. There you go, you got that piece out. And from there you can just sort of grab and sort of shimmy your board out. It's a pretty tight fit, but it should pull out without anything else holding you back. And that's pretty much all you need to get the board out, so you'll be able to use it with the new radio. And you'll see the absolute mess that's behind this this unit. So yeah, you can see it's you know, not a standard double din. Pretty interesting. I'm actually not exactly sure how this unit is attached to the main frame here, because like I said, you can see that there are controls for the unit inside there. Yep. And yeah, so this probably looks a little insane, which it kind of is, but you know, not really a huge deal. So what you got here is your climate control board, which you do have to remove from your factory climate control. So there's two of the boards. There's one that has the controls on it, and then there's the other one with the plugs. So you need the one with the plugs. And so basically that's going to end up just hooked up to the factory connectors, just like it would. And I just have it stuffed back here. You're also going to have that ribbon cable in there. So in case you're curious, with this is the thicker ribbon cable that comes with the unit. The side with the blue on the end is opposite of the pins, so the pins are on the right side here, whereas the blue is on the left. So you could see that orientation with the board, so you know which way to put that in. You could also just look at the pins on the connector. That's what I did to see. So that's where that plugs into, and you'll see this is all just kind of a mess here. And so here is the board that connects to. All right. So here's this small board. I believe it just comes separate from everything else in the packaging. You're going to have the pins facing down on the board on that wider pin connector there. You're not going to do anything with this other connector, ribbon connector. So yeah, like I said, pins facing down, blue side facing up on that one. You're going to have this connector right here is going to be plugged into that small board. And so that small connector leads into the main harness, the main mess here. And yeah, so getting into the main harness, there's going to be, I think there's going to be two plugs here. Well, let's see. Yeah, here's the other. Two plugs here that I did not use for a setup where I just have the same factory amplifier. No custom anything going on here. This is how I have it wired up. This is the one connector that plugs into the factory head unit. So that's that one there. What is that? Some number of pins. Hard to count right now. I think that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 2. So 20 pin there. Plugs into the factory connector. You got this small connector here that has, let's see, is that? Looks like 8 pins there by 2, 16 pins. Plugs into the small connector there. I only really have 2 things plugged in here. I have this one is for a USB, so you can plug in wired Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, or you could plug in something else for USB, I guess. And I believe this is just actually, I think that actually does plug into, this actually does plug into the main harness here, somewhere in there. You got the CAN bus box here. This needs to have 2 connectors plug into it from the main, both from the main harness. There is this one here and this smaller one down here. Everything really can only be plugged into one place as long as the number of pins match up. It's fairly straightforward. The directions don't really tell you much, but honestly, I just kind of plugged everything in how I would expect it to go, and it just kind of worked. So honestly, if you just do that, you should be good. Yeah, like I said, I don't even have, I just have the factory, I have the radio antenna not even plugged in. I just kind of tuck that away back there. Yeah, that's actually, I think, the bulk of everything. So yeah, you got the main harness here, plugs into the unit. This one small port that plugs in right there, that goes into the main harness. USB. I also have the GPS antenna plugged in. That's hanging out right there. In case I did want to actually set up the standalone GPS. But, this unit does come with a Wi-Fi antenna as well. So I'm not sure if it's possible to just download all of the maps that you need and then just run it offline. I don't really know, but I just honestly didn't really care enough to give it a shot. I find it perfectly fine to just use Android Auto, so that's really all I do. You got some other connectors back here, RCA stuff for connecting aftermarket speakers, amplifier, sub, whatever. Not really sure about that stuff. I'm not a audio guy, but you got a couple extra leads here, which I think are actually for if you were to plug in a steering wheel control like I was hoping to. There is a key 1, a key 2 back. Not really sure what that is. And I think those are all the leads. Oh, actually, sorry, I actually have 3 connectors that I did not use. But yeah, I guess those are all the leads here. Not exactly sure if that's all you need. I believe you need key, accessory power, and then I'm not sure if back is ground for the steering wheel controls, but I guess it's something I'll figure out at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the connections here. Fairly straightforward. Sorry if it looks pretty complicated. So physically mounting the unit into the dashboard, it comes with these small little brackets here. There's one there. Looks like that. One on the this is both on the top. Other one right here with 2 bolts. So one more thing I want to mention too is so the unit that I received did not have any kind of screws to mount the mounting brackets to the unit itself. It just kind of came with the brackets and no real way to screw them in. There's screw holes that are pretty obvious where they go. But I just ended up picking up a 8-pack of number 4 screws, or sheet metal screws, 3/8 inch long. These worked pretty much perfectly. So it's an 8-pack I just picked up from Home Depot for like $1 something. 8 screws is exactly what you need. 2 bolts for each of the 4 mounting brackets, and that'll get you by just fine. There's this plastic bracket that goes along the length of this spot here mine came a little bit loose, so you can tighten this bolt, and then I think this one too. However, leave this bolt fairly loose, otherwise it will draw the corners of the unit in and kind of warps the front panel and makes it so it doesn't line up with the other panels and doesn't look as good. So just leave these ones a little bit loose like that, and that'll be good. That's how it came shipped to me. I just thought it was a good idea to screw them in all the way. It was not a good idea. So there are also your two brackets on the bottom. This is the driver's left side and the passenger or right hand side over there. And yeah, so in the dashboard there was these two little clips on either side, there and there. Kind of came around like that. Not exactly sure what those are really for, honestly. But I just clipped them out because this unit doesn't really fit if you keep those there. Yeah, so. But, yeah, so once you have everything hooked up, you can also hook up the radio antenna right here where it says radio. And then you'll be able to do that. But the lead is just honestly pretty small, and it just kind of seems like a pain to be able to plug that in. So I just kind of skipped that part. Obviously doable, but so once you have everything connected, you can just kind of start to play with getting this thing in here. You could obviously be neat about this. I did zip tie or twist tie a couple places here on these wires. You could maybe do a little bit better of a job than I did, but you know, I just don't really care as long as it works, pretty much, to be honest. But yeah, so generally you're just going to want to shove all this stuff in here. You can try and catch the top mounting brackets on the little plastic tabs that are up here. This one might just be broken off, but that's just kind of me. It's my vehicle. There we go. Get that decently lined up. I usually bolt in the top two bolts first. Well, actually, I just sort of try to start all of them lightly. And this will probably take me 2.5 months. Oh, actually not. Alright, so got that guy started. Get this guy started. Sorry, I don't really have a better view here. Alright, well, we got those two started. And we'll take a peek down here. Make sure that these guys are lined up. These bottom brackets are fairly flexible, so it's actually really not too difficult to sort of bend them to just sort of, you know, work them to get them in the right spot. Really not too bad. Okay. And so you can try to yeah, contain all of this stuff. Just kind of shove it up, really. Just, you know, just sort of push it out of the way. I'm gonna make sure that your, try to make sure that your climate control boards don't end up making contact with, you know, any metal brackets or anything like that that could possibly ground them out, because that would not be good. There we go. Just kind of shove it up and out of the way. And yeah, once you got pretty much everything out of the way except for your plugs. Yeah, now you can pretty much start bolting it in for real. Head up top here, 10mm socket. Okay, another one. All right, down here. And over here. All right. Okay. Grab our bottom little panel here. So I have the USB here routed just sort of behind everything, going down here. So I just make sure that that sits below this panel when I put it back in. You're gonna want everything else, all the other wires for the radio, to sit above this panel so you don't see it. So you're gonna take all your heated seat controls and all that stuff, or if you don't have heated seats, then you don't really worry about this, I guess. But you're gonna try and plug all these guys in here as best that you can with one hand. Okay, and you're gonna push your heated seat button right out, and you're gonna pop it back in and pretend like nothing happened, and pop this guy in, and try to get this guy in. There you go. All right. And so you're gonna just try to work this, not really work it, but you know what I mean. There we go. Get it lined up pretty well, and just push it till it clicks into place. All right. And there you go. You got the USB wire, and you can't really see anything else in there. Pretty clean. All you really got to do now is just grab this guy, slap him up here, get him lined up, push sort of forward and downward, and don't have your clips lined up. There we go. There it is. Okay. Get your two screws ready to rock and roll. And get ready to lose them, because you're not going to be able to do this with one hand. Well, actually, not too bad. Alright. This guy. Get him mostly lined up in there. There we go, tightened up. Honestly, these screws you could probably just skip if you're pulling this apart pretty often, then you know it might not really matter. It'll stay in place without the screws, but I guess it just sort of makes your car more difficult for your radio to be stolen. So I guess you could leave it in. And then you're just going to take your top panel piece, line the little hooks in the back and just press it in on both sides, and that's it. There you go. Yeah, so a few other things that it came with. I did get the version that comes with the backup camera, just in case I want to install that, even though I don't really plan to. I mean, maybe I will eventually. This is, I believe, the cable that plugs into the head unit in order to plug the backup camera in. It's just kind of your standard cheap head unit, I'm pretty sure. Or your standard cheap backup camera. There it is. It's got a little double-sided tape thing and some screws, wiring for it. Also comes with this is a Wi-Fi antenna, or possibly 4G antenna. Not really sure, I don't have that set up. But if you were to set it up, all it really has is just this little screw connector that just threads onto one of the connections on the back that says Wi-Fi or 4G. There is 2 of these USB connectors. You can plug both of them in if you need to. There is a extended range microphone, even though the unit does have a microphone on it. This might help you get better sound quality on calls and stuff. Not exactly sure yet. I haven't really tested out calls yet, so I may or may not use this. If you do use it, I believe you do have to use this harness, which plugs into the unit there. It has a SIM card slot if you did want to actually put a SIM card in. This is also used for a bunch of other audio stuff, but I believe this one right here is for the mic. So that's the one that you'll need if you want to plug in the longer microphone, the extended range microphone thing, I guess. And I guess you would just leave all this other stuff, pretty much. And yeah.